Hi, my name is Elizabeth Bales. I am the Senior Manager of the Globalization R&D team at SAS. Today I would like to talk to you about how you can see all of your characters in SAS Studio, otherwise known as Exploring the Great Unknown. Many of you are familiar with this character on the screen that's staring at you right now. I'd like to share with you some strategies you can use to manage unexpected characters like this one. When you read data files into SAS, open SAS programs into SAS Studio, or simply want to convert characters to ASCII when that is possible. When you read a data file into SAS, it's important to know the encoding of the data in the file. Here I'm displaying a file I created in an editor called Notepad++. That tells me that the encoding of the data inside the file is Windows 1252. That encoding is actually the same encoding that SAS calls WLatin1. I've highlighted a few characters that we'll look at in just a moment. The Windows Latin1 encoding is a single byte encoding. That means every character in the character set only requires 1 byte in memory. However, when you convert Windows Latin1 characters to UTF-8, some of those characters require more than 1 byte. There's an excellent document page in the National Language Support Reference Guide that will help you understand this better. I've highlighted those same characters that were highlighted on the previous slide. Let's look at how SAS manages those when it reads in the data. I have a simple SAS program. I'm going to run that in a UTF-8 SAS session. And you'll see that some of those characters, the ones that I happen to have highlighted, were displayed in the SAS log as unknown characters using that symbol we looked at at the beginning. And when I try and display the data set, even though the data set was created correctly, my proc print step fails. Well, I want to do some debugging on this. I'll run proc contents and check things out. The data set encoding is UTF-8. That matches my SAS session encoding. And by the way, I'm using UTF-8 for all of my SAS sessions that I'm demoing today. So UTF-8 is my data set encoding, but unfortunately the data inside my data set is not UTF-8. It's Windows Latin1. Why? Well, the reason is because when SAS reads in a data file, it simply reads the data assuming that the encoding of that data is the same as your SAS session encoding. In this case, we know that was not, that those encodings were not the same. But SAS was not told that, so it didn't know to do anything about transcoding the data. It created the data set with WLatin1 characters inside. And there are several possible solutions. I'll mention 2 of those here. One solution is to run proc data sets with the correct encoding option and change the data encoding in the data set header. Note, this only changes the data set encoding. It does not change the actual encoding of the data inside the data set. I'm going to choose today to recreate my data set. I'll specify the file name encoding option and tell SAS that the data in the file is WLatin1. I've made that change and reran my data set. My characters display successfully in the SAS log. I also find that my proc print runs successfully and displays all of my characters. When you open SAS programs, you may also find at that time that you have unexpected characters. Here's an example. I'm using a copy of the same program, except that this time I've modified the title statement for my SAS output. I'm including a dash character that's not actually an ASCII character. Again, you'll see that I've created this SAS program using the Windows 1252 WLatin1 encoding. Some of the characters that you see on the screen are actually auto-formatted characters, or actually impacted by an auto-format feature that some browsers use to convert simple punctuation characters to special typographic characters. They make text files much easier to read. However, those typographic characters are not ASCII, and that is going to cause us a problem here. You'll notice that when SAS Studio opened the file, it was unable to render that special dash character. And also when the print step ran, there was no error, but again, that character rendered as that unknown character symbol. The reason is that SAS Studio was expecting the SAS program file to be UTF-8. By default, the text encoding that SAS Studio is expecting is UTF-8. I could change that default text encoding. However, that would actually apply to every SAS and text file that opened into that SAS Studio session. Instead, I would like to be able to specify the encoding for this one particular file. I'm going to do that, show you how I did that using the Open dialog. I open the Open dialog and select Open with Encoding. When I select the Open button in the dialog, SAS Studio presents me another dialog that allows me to specify the encoding I wanted to use. In this case, again, Windows 1252. SAS Studio has no problem opening the file and converting the data from Windows Line 1 into UTF-8. You can see that the title in my output also is displayed correctly, where the dash character is displayed correctly. Finally, you may want to simply convert some of those unexpected characters to ASCII. I'd like to introduce you to two SAS features, both functions, that can help you. The kprop data function manages unexpected characters. You can select the conversion, the way you would like to convert those unexpected characters in your resulting data stream. The base char function converts actual accented characters to an ASCII form if one is available. I have a very simple SAS program. It has 3 observations. The first 2 observations have some of those punctuation characters that were impacted by that auto format feature I mentioned earlier. The last observation has an accented character in the word cafe. I apply base char to the character variable task, and I'm also applying kprop data directly to that same character variable task using a new option called punc. Let's see how fast those 2 functions impact the data. The original text is displayed in that first column. You'll notice those special quote marks and that long dash character, as well as the word cafe with the accent. After base char is applied, the punctuation characters look the same as they did in the original. However, the word cafe has been modified. That lowercase e accented character has been converted to a simple ASCII E. In the final column, the kprop data results show that those punctuation characters have been converted from those special typographic characters to simple ASCII punctuation. There's more information available in the National Language Support Reference Guide, as well as several papers that are available online. You can look for those references in these slides, which will be made available on the SAS Community GitHub for SAS Global Forum 2020. There are 2 papers that were written for SAS Global Forum 2020 that you might want to check out, and some pages in the National Language Support Reference Guide that you may find helpful. I would like to thank you for joining me today. I would like to hear from you if you have questions or comments. Thank you very much.